Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this week's episode of the Hardwood Nation podcast with my main man, Bryce Ward. What is going on, Bryce?
Not much, man. Just enjoying my day off. It's been a couple long work weeks, so yeah. How are you been?
I've been great. I've been fantastic. I've been better than ever.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in my new office, so it's coming together. It's coming together, so we're doing good. No need for the little background I've used for like 3 years now. So there's no need for that anymore. Hey, but let's get into it. So today is the finale of the NBA's regular season. So far, we had a lot of storylines this year. I would say 3/4 of the season was dominated by one, Kyrie Irving, and then the last fourth of the season was kind of dominated by Ja Morant as far as the storylines, the news cycles, things of that nature. But then we also had LeBron James and the Lakers. They were in the news cycle a lot as well, especially with LeBron becoming the NBA's all-time leading scorer. I'm going to start with this question because currently, right now, the Lakers are 7th in the Western Conference. Considering they were in the play-in scenario and out of the playoffs for so long, how shocked are you that the Lakers were able to actually win 8 of their last 10 games to put themselves in prime position for a first-round upset?
Considering they have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I'm not like crazy surprised. I was more surprised that they were so bad at the beginning of the season. I mean, I didn't pick them to win a championship, but to count them out seemed a little silly. So, seeing them kind of 7th, they flirted with that sixth spot for like an hour or something like that. It was very short. But I know it's not the results that they wanted, but the fact that they were quite a bit farther down not that long ago, good good for them. It's hard to count them or Golden State, completely out of the playoffs until they get eliminated. If Anthony Davis and LeBron James are both on the court and they're able to play at the top of their game, they'll be dangerous for someone, at least a game or two. So, I mean, good for them. I mean, it would have been just because those two guys are there, it's a failure if they don't get to at least where they got. So
Right. I'm happy that they turned things around. The Western Conference, as far as the top 10 teams that are going to participate in the play-in / playoffs are locked. There's some positions that's still up in the air going into the last day of the season, which is actually fantastic. All right, that's what we want. We're going to have drama this year, but the teams are locked. So I'm going to start with the Denver Nuggets at number 1, the Memphis Grizzlies, my Sacramento Kings, the Phoenix Suns, the LA Clippers, the Golden State Warriors. Those are your top 6. Then we have the play-in teams, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers, the New Orleans Pelicans, and we're going to talk about them, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Oklahoma City Thunder, the biggest surprise outside of the Kings in the West. As far as the New Orleans Pelicans, they, along with the Lakers, were bouncing in and out of the play-in for the duration of the season. They started off strong, and then when Zion went down, they were playing 500 basketball and kind of dropped out. Along with the Lakers, they've actually won 8 of their last 10 games to put them in prime position. And now they're going to be facing the Lakers in this first play-in game. I am super excited about that.
Is Zion going to be back for any of that, or he just done?
No, Zion is done for the remainder of the season. The Pelicans announced a couple of days ago that they don't anticipate him coming back for the playoffs. So what they have now going into it is what they have. Before Zion went down, like I said, there was a time where the Pelicans were like 2 or 3 in the Western Conference. So they know how to win some games. I just think at the end of Charles Barkley's career, he said, I'm not a great player anymore, but on some nights I can still be great. And I think with LeBron James in a playing situation, even though he's had a fantastic season when he's played, I think we're going to see him elevate even more just to get into the playoffs. I don't see the Lakers losing in the play-in. I just don't. I think LeBron's going to hit another gear just to get them to that next step. In the Eastern Conference, looks like everybody is locked in. So we have the NBA leading Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to have home court throughout. The Boston Celtics, the Philadelphia 76ers, Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, and the Brooklyn Nets. Those are going to be your top 6 teams. Then to make up the play-in tournament, you're going to have the Miami Heat, the Atlanta Hawks, the Toronto Raptors, and the Chicago Bulls. Any surprises there?
Not really. Not really.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to make this a bit personal, of course, because I'm a Heat fan. We have owned Atlanta for 2 years. Okay? We're going to play them in one game. I am scared shitless. I don't want to let my guard down to be like, okay, we've been owning them like we're Trae Young's real fathers. Like we've owned them for 2 years. I don't want to go in there overconfident. I hope that the Miami Heat doesn't go in there overconfident, even though we're going to have the game's going to be in our home. I am scared shitless. But if we get through Atlanta, now we're looking at Boston in the first round. And trust me, that's who Miami wants. Either Boston, it was either Boston or Philly. Mm-hmm. We own Philly too, but we really want Boston from that bullshit from last year. So hopefully that can fuel them to get through Atlanta. But Atlanta in a 1-game series, I don't know why, but for some reason they scare me. They really scare me. Okay. As far as upsets, like what do you think? So, for example, Philadelphia would play Brooklyn in the first round. Cleveland would play New York in the first round. I think New York can clip Cleveland.
I don't.
You don't think the Knicks could make a magical run?
Oh, I think they can play Cleveland tough. I just man, Cleveland's tough, dude. Cleveland's real tough.
They have been tough, yes.
There's big man, Evan Mobley. They've had like the best defense, I think, most of the season, or the number 1 defense all season. And Donovan Mitchell has just been lighting up every team. Mm-hmm. Every team. And they still have Garland. You know what I mean? My pick is Cleveland for that. Not necessarily New York can't take them to like 6-7 games, because I'm not like putting down New York either. I've just the times I've seen Cleveland play, I've been more sure of what Cleveland's doing. I feel like more so than New York. Like I said, not taking anything away from New York. I just think Cleveland's like that good.
Well, Cleveland's going to host the series, but little wink. Let's just say the refs are going to pay a lot of attention to that series, because it would benefit the NBA greatly if the New York Knicks kind of make a deep playoff run. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, now, as far as the Philadelphia 76ers, because I actually picked Philly to be one of the top teams, well, I mean, we both did, in the Eastern Conference, and they got off to a rocky start. You had injuries with James Harden, injuries with Embiid, but they kind of landed where we thought they were going to land. Do you take the Sixers as a serious contender?
I would take the top 3 in the East as all serious contenders in the East. I don't know if I believe Philly can win the championship. I feel like they could come out of the East, but my pick is still Milwaukee to come out of the East. In fact, I think Milwaukee's my pick to win a championship again. But I wouldn't be surprised if Boston, Milwaukee, or Cleveland came out of the East. I mean, Philly. Wow. Philly. I'm sorry, Philly.
Wow, I was gonna say Cleveland.
Although I will say this, in recent years, the Philly team out of the top 3 are the least experienced in terms of getting far in the playoffs. Boston have made the conference finals or finals, and then Milwaukee's won the championship. so I believe in them just a little bit more. I'd be worried if I'm Philly if Cleveland made it farther than me this year. That's a problem, I think, if you're Philly. But no, I believe they could go to a championship. I just don't believe in Philly as much as I do Boston or Milwaukee.
Got it. We're going to move to the Western Conference now. We're going to talk about the series that are locked, that we know that are locked.
Well, let me ask you something real quick. Do you think, Brooklyn gets bounced first round, right?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Philly's going to shit on them. So
Okay.
it's still ironic that they're going to play each other, even though some of the key players aren't there anymore, but it's still funny that they're going to play each other. But yeah, Brooklyn's done. Despite the great play by Mikal Bridges, we just have to give him all the accolades in the world.
What do you think happens between New York and Cleveland if they play? Like when they play?
I think New York's gonna win that. I just have this funny suspicion that New York's gonna be pushed into the love taps into the next round. I'm telling you. Because here's the deal. Let me go back to that bracket real quick. I'm sorry, I'm not sharing my screen right now. I should.
I'd like to see what the regular season record was between Cleveland and New York.
Here's why. Okay, so if New York was to get pushed into the second round, they would play Milwaukee more than likely. I was seeing if they would play Boston, but no, they would play Milwaukee in the second round. They wouldn't see Boston until the conference finals. A New York-Boston series is money for the NBA. That's old money for the NBA. That's an old rivalry. But that wouldn't happen until the conference finals, so I don't think that's probable right now. But hey, because Milwaukee's going to play the winner of I hate how to play in the structure, but they're going to play the winner of whoever wins between Toronto and Chicago, and whoever wins that game is going to play the loser of the Heat in Atlanta. It's whatever. So Milwaukee's looking at either Toronto. Actually, they're looking at all four playing teams: Miami, Atlanta, Toronto, or Chicago. So if Miami wins that first game, they don't have to worry about Milwaukee. But we're not afraid of them either. So, any surprises from this season that you didn't? I know we talked about this a little bit last week, but was there any surprises that we missed that happened this year that we didn't cover last week that you can think of?
Surprises that we didn't cover. Because we talked about Sacramento. Honestly, I'm surprised Dallas fell off as hard as they did, but they did lose Brunson. So, I didn't know how much worse they were going to be, but they fell off. I saw a thing yesterday that said the Mavs are already worried for the end of next season that Luke is going to ask out. They're already worried about it, and we called that.
So Mark Cuban said that re-signing Kyrie Irving this offseason is going to be their biggest priority. He's supposed to say that, right? That's what he's supposed to say. I think Kyrie's gone. If Kyrie leaves the Dallas Mavericks, all hell will break loose because they gave up a lot to get him there. So that's like nuclear explosion situation in Dallas if Kyrie walks away. Because Kyrie has no obligation to stay there. Let's just be real. He has no obligation to stay there. Him and Luka don't play well off of each other. Luka probably doesn't even want him there to begin with. So, yeah. It's a shit show. Not at the levels of what we had with, Brooklyn for 3 years, but it's a shit show. But yeah, Dallas went. Okay, so we're going to talk about this, then we're going to get to the West. When they made the trade for Kyrie Irving, they wasn't playing the best basketball, but they were still fourth in the Western Conference. They have fallen to being eliminated out of playoff contention in 2 months. 2 months. Mark Cuban took a big swing. Boy, did he miss. But everybody knew. People who know basketball knew that this wasn't going to work. We just didn't know that they were going to fall out of the playoffs completely. But yeah, they're out. So speaking of the Western Conference and matchups that we know will take place, kind of, we have a potential 3-6 matchup between the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors. How you feel about that
one. I think that's almost worst case scenario for the Kings, because
worst case?
It's so hard to count out Golden State until you see what's going on the court. Mm-hmm. I won't count out Golden State. It's happened too much, and they've surprised us too many times. So no, that could be an upset. And I'm not downplaying the Kings at all. I'm just saying you never know how on the Warriors can get in the playoffs when they're healthy. So that's probably that might be the most dangerous first round opponent the Kings could hope to get is Golden State. Like I would almost prefer the Lakers over Golden State. Josh, what's up?
Yeah, we good. Just I'm gonna take you out, and then you can jump back in. Something went down. All right, so I think that the Sacramento Kings are gonna do great against the Golden State Warriors, but I think it's gonna be a long series, probably like a 6 or 7 game series. Now I will say this about the Warriors. Give me 1 second. The Warriors have had a horrible road record this year in the NBA. Horrible. They've been great at home. So if the Warriors would have had home court advantage in this series, I think they would have ran through the Sacramento Kings. But with Sacramento having home court, with the Warriors' tremendous road record, I think it's going to go 6 or 7 games. Now, what happens then is a toss-up. Will the Warriors rely on their championship experience? Can they pull it together for one game to get into the next round? I don't know. Can Sacramento hold off the defending champions, or will they choke? I don't know. But what I can say is I think Sacramento hasn't been here. They just haven't. You know, Sabonis has been to the playoffs in the East. De'Aaron Fox has never smelled the playoffs before in his life. Mike Brown, though, is an actual championship coach. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, he won a couple of championships as an assistant with the Warriors. Advantage Sacramento. He knows the schemes. He knows the players. You may be right on this one. I don't.
I think you're right. I think either way it goes long, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
If Sacramento had even just been in the first round last year and got beat out, like I'd probably give it to them this year. It's the first year they've been there in a long time. And that's the only reason. Like, if it wasn't Golden State, if it was like if it was Memphis or something, I'd probably pick Sacramento as well. But it's hard for me to go against Golden State in the first round against a team that hasn't been there in a very, very long time. That's the only.
I get that. Sonny J, do we have you in?
It might be a little bit better now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, brother. We got you.
Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, I gotta figure out. I may need some new equipment. But yeah, what's going on, y'all boys? Happy Easter to you both. You know, hope you can spend some good time with the family later on today. Yeah, I was hearing most of the conversation. Kings are the hot topic in the NBA, huh? As far as surprising the entire league. Shouts out to Mike Brown for not only changing culture, but for them to kind of maximize the talent that they have as far as getting pieces together that work well with each other. For them, you know, getting Malik Monk back into the mix with De'Aaron Fox's old teammate. I know that's helped them out a lot. Sabonis, is it He's played actually really well, pretty consistent throughout it since he gotten there. And then they've had some improved pieces as they've sent other people out. I remember, I think it was how the big story was like Halliburton had left and was like holding, like he was just so good. It was just kind of log jamming a couple other guys as far as just their performance. So him leaving, it just opened up the floor for a lot of them. So it's been a pretty interesting story to see the Kings over there become relevant basketball. So
yeah,
definitely something I think Mike Brown is definitely Coach of the Year candidate. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think we definitely have a good story there.
Oh, he has that on lock. If they pick anyone else with that, it's the we riot. It's gonna be a riot. So me and Bryce have talked on here before about the Phoenix Suns and how we don't believe in the Phoenix Suns anymore. That ship has sailed. So there were two doomsday scenarios for the Phoenix Suns in the first round. We're looking at one. We're looking at one of the two. The first doomsday scenario was Golden State Warriors. The second one is the Los Angeles Clippers. So right now, heading into the last game of the season, the Clippers and the Warriors are actually tied, but the Clippers have the tiebreaker. So they're fifth, Golden State sixth. Phoenix is sitting at fourth. There's still a possibility that Golden State can see Phoenix in the first round. But my question is, I'm going to throw this to Josh first. How big of a threat would the Clippers be to the Phoenix Suns?
The Clippers to the Phoenix Suns, you said?
Yes.
Okay. There is an element of a matchup there if you're talking about a healthy team going against another healthy team. There definitely is. You have the star matchup. You got Russ against Chris. You got however you want to look at that. You got Devin Booker against who is there two guys at this point? I don't even know. It'd be a PG, and then Kawhi comes back healthy. You do have I don't know. That as far as the benches go, they kind of both let him go with the recent trade and moves and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, it is kind of top heavy on like the starting five. So honestly, if we're going starting five versus starting five, I'm probably gonna end up going with Phoenix in the end, just because of the talent level there. And I feel like when it comes down to the stretch, Chris Paul has a little bit more knowledge and how to, they've been there before. He's a vet and he's in it. He's one of those glue guys. So I feel because of that is probably going to give them the edge. Now, I would love to see the Clippers make a run. I would love to see, PG and get that respect, Kawhi get the respect. And then, Russell's on his whole tour of getting his respect from the Lakers since, he got booted from there. So it would be a nice story, but it probably in that case going to be Phoenix.
I'm going to throw out I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but really quick. Bryce, what do you think about the Clippers Suns matchup? And PG's out right. PG's out right now, but Kawhi is good.
I feel like if both teams are healthy, it's honestly more of a deep round matchup with the way the teams are stacked. I know the records didn't show, and Phoenix got KD later in the season, didn't even get him for that many games yet. But in terms of matchups, it's like it seems super exciting. So, but especially with like PG having some issues lately. I know Phoenix has had issues with Durant as well, but we still haven't seen the Clippers do too much all healthy together, even though it looks great on paper, kind of. But I think I'm going to go with Phoenix if that's the matchup. I trust Chris Paul a little bit more than Westbrook, and if Durant can play most of the series, I think having him and Booker, whereas the Clippers might only have Kawhi. If PG can't make it back, I think that might be too much to overcome if you're the Clippers without a super deep bench.
I mean, even looking at the Clippers though, and just comparing it to Phoenix, they actually might be. I mean, we're just talking bench wise, they might be actually a little bit deeper than Phoenix. Just to name a few, like Norman Powell, Eric Gordon. I know he's old as dirt, but Marcus Morris. You got Plumlee, Batum. These guys are still old, but like somewhat. Like, okay, they got that person. Okay, there's that person. Robert Covington is not but okay, they have that person. So. They're
long. They're long.
Yeah, they got size off the bench.
They have an experienced bench. That's what it seems like.
You see the smile right here, so you know I'm about to start some shit. So this is what I'm gonna say. I have never and will never say anything bad about Russell Westbrook. But one thing I know to be factual, he shits on Chris Paul every time they play each other. If I'm Phoenix, I am scared shitless that Russell's going to continue this revenge tour because he's actually played great since he's been there. Mm-hmm. I think he is going to shit on Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul is going to hurt himself trying to keep up. I think the Clippers are going to hit the Suns right in the mouth because, let's face it, the Suns have shown that they are soft. The Clippers really haven't shown us that they're a soft team, but the Suns are a little soft. You know, as Bryce says, they have the greatest role player in the history of the NBA on that team. You have Chris Paul. You have Devin Booker, who's played better since the breakup, but we still don't know how tough he is to lead a team through a 7-game series. I think the Clippers could upset the Suns.
I think so too.
Yeah. Joshua, I want to throw this to you. Someone asked me to talk about this on the podcast, but I said, hey, we talk about the NBA. But I'm happy you're on, Joshua, because I want to surprise you with this. I need you to tell me your initial thoughts about this situation that happened last week between Angel Reese and the Caitlin girl in the women's championship game, and the optics of this. Because Bryce, forgive me, I forgot to mention this to you. It was the biggest story of the week, by far.
Oh yeah, nobody cared about the men's championship game.
No one.
It was a girls' game, and that was it. That was the story, which is interesting to see. For I think the first time in my life has actually been a thing. So yeah, it was very interesting. Initial thoughts. I think it's crazy because I got up to my parents' house. I was gonna watch the game over there, and I got there a little bit late, like right around the end of the second quarter. And I'm looking at the few minutes of it, and I'm like, I don't want to say it, but this really does feel like a race game. Like I really don't want to say it, but it really felt like it. And as the game went on, and you started to check social media, and you started to hear everybody talk, it was a very much black versus white. It is what it is. As ugly as it is, I didn't want to. I thought it was one of the best women's games we've ever gotten in a long time. Like for us to be talking about it even till now. Besides the fact they very much played it black girls versus white girls. Unfortunately, the part that kills me is very hypocritical on both sides. The Joe Biden thing and the and the all that. Caitlin Clark and the other girl from SC State were the queens of trash talking the entire season. They were known for it. As soon as another person of another shade does it, and I will agree, she was a little excessive, but in her sense, she's been unapologetic throughout the entire thing. So personality-wise, she's been consistent through the whole thing. So I can't hate her for that. A lot of people did want Caitlin Clark to win. She is the best college women's basketball player we've ever seen, and will definitely move mountains in the WNBA. And I know a lot of people wanted her to win, but yeah, just the excessiveness of it. I don't think it was wrong at all. I think it was completely within her right. Getting through March Madness and getting to the championship and actually winning is a whole journey in itself, and you should definitely be able to celebrate yourself in that sense. So all of that, like, kudos to them. Like, they had to put a super team together to beat her, to beat Caitlin Clark. It is what it is. And that's just the game. So, you know, between the trash talk and all this and that, that's just the game. Like, it sucks that they come at the character because the person they wanted to win lost. So, and there's all the other stuff behind it that I'm not going to get into, but a lot of people showed their face a couple of days after that game. Don't worry.
I'll get into it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Oh. Don't worry. So the game had a rating, like 10 million people watched a women's championship game. I've never heard of this
in my life.
Like, never have heard of this. Bryce, real quick, like I said, I didn't prepare you for this one, so forgive me. Did you hear anything about this story this week?
Well, I mean, it was lighting up my social media the same way it was everybody else's at the beginning of the week. No, like he said, it felt very much like it was turned into a race thing. And then the stuff with Joe Biden and trying to invite both teams, I felt was pretty gross, pretty fucking gross, if I'm being honest with you. And as someone who has been super competitive with the things I've cared about, especially when I was younger, I would try to trash talk people enough to get them off their game, whatever it is I was playing. If I could mess with them. What she did after the game, I thought was great. I loved everything about how she was mocking what's her name when she was just doing this the whole
Yeah,
time.
Caitlin
Caleb.
Clark.
Yeah, I loved every second of it because I'd seen like some footage and other stuff where she she was doing that to everybody else. She was talking the trash. She was acting like she was the best on the court, and for good reason. If you're like that and you have that killer mentality, go for it. But the way they attacked the other girl after for doing the same thing after winning a national championship game,
Right.
I mean, I was blown away at like the pundits who actually tore her down, and they're like it's unsportsmanlike or whatever they want to say. I was like, no,
They
I
called it
would have done the
back.
same thing. I loved every bit of it. And then the competitor, the girl she was, doing it to, I'm sorry, I'm just bad with their names right now, but she even came out and defended her later. Like she was like, like yeah, it's just one of those things. It's everybody needs to stop making a big deal out of it. But the people who really trashed her, I just thought it was so weird. I didn't like it. It made me feel more like it was just a race thing because we see this shit all the time. I mean, just a couple years ago with the Bucks winning the championship, right at the end, the Bucks defensive player threw up the peace sign to the Chiefs player. That was almost the same exact thing to me. And you don't hear the buzz or the talk about it. Like I really don't get it. And I was blown away that it was so scrutinized at the end of this game, like what she did. I'm legit blown away, still am. That is such a big topic, and that people tore her down for it. And then the invitation of both teams to the White House. Like I said, the whole situation, all of it, blew me away. That was the reaction that girl got.
Absolutely. Respectfully, Jill Biden is a piece of shit. Respectfully. Okay. Like I said, the optics of the possible invitation of both the winner and loser in this situation that has never happened before, and the only reason we can think it could happen was because of let's say the same shade as Joshua mentioned, and feeling sorry for the shade that lost is baffling. As we've all played sports, we've all been competitive. You win for a reason. You get special privileges for being a winner. Losers shouldn't get anything. I don't believe in participation trophies. I don't care. Like this is not where we're at. The fact that, as Josh said, it felt like a race thing because it was a race thing. The numbers will back it up that it was a race thing. America still doesn't care about anything that's not racial. Like that's just it. The NBA has benefited from that. The NBA boomed when you had Larry Bird on the East Coast and Magic Johnson on the West Coast playing in the finals. That's when the NBA took off. Michael Jordan was the benefactor of that. But the NBA really took off with the Magic and Bird rivalry that actually started in the NCAA championship game. It transcended into the NBA. So if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a motherfucking duck, right?
Yeah.
And it just reminds us that the way it has always been is going to continue to be, no matter how hard people work. Because Angel Reese should have never caught the heat. I mean, she didn't care. Look, she ate all that
so
shit
much
up.
money through
Yeah.
Ridiculous. She's making more than half of these people that are talking about her. So like,
yeah, she ate that shit up. So don't get me wrong. They came for the right one because she was able to handle it. But it still, but it still shouldn't have happened. Just should not have happened. So switching gears, Josh. In the beginning, we kind of talked about some of the storylines that we had throughout the season. The first half of the season was kind of dominated by Kyrie Irving, and then the second half of the season was kind of dominated by Ja Morant. What do you think was the most standout story of the year?
between the two, honestly, it's hard to find another one. I'm honestly gonna. I mean, if you want to do another one, it go. Well, I'm not gonna say because that's gonna transition to another conversation. But so I'll just stick to here. It's probably honestly the John Morant was probably the biggest one because just they treated the man like an actual criminal when he was just holding up his homie's gun, just trying to be cool, and he was just the thing. I think the whole them turning that into it. It's a simple story of we all know they pulled up where he's from. They pulled up all this stuff and all this. Like he's really not like that. He gets money, goes to Memphis. We already know. You already know what he's about to get into. He went to Memphis. I was like, cool. He started hanging with them boys. We knew he was. We knew he's not going to be actually doing stuff because he's got a name and a face to protect, but he's just going to be cool and just get the benefit of showing face from that lifestyle. So again, just the way they tried to turn that, spin that into the whole thing, and just hearing the media. I think that was just the biggest story in the NBA because it kind of went across the board. And I think everybody tried so hard to extend it as long as they could. I think because it really wasn't that big of a story, but I think that just because of the effort to make it, that is why it's the biggest story this year.
Yeah, I messaged you the other day because I saw the Washington Post is still trying to keep this thing alive. I'm just like, just let it go. Like,
yeah,
just let it go. So going into the playoffs, who needs to win the championship the most? From a player standpoint.
Honestly, the most. Because, I mean, if you think about it, the top teams that are there, like, we expected them for the most part to be there. Maybe, like, the Kings, like, the surprise deal. I'd probably say Phoenix just because of the hype that was put into that when they brought him over. And, okay, he's finally where he wants to be now. I think he has the most to lose in that sense just because, again, you do have a top-tier talented team now. They gave up a lot to get you. So now we have the potential to see either another disaster or Kevin Durant and the rest of the crew come back to life. They have had struggles hitting that Western Conference wall. So maybe they get to the championship game. Maybe they don't. I think outside of that, every other team that's up there to even be considered for that was probably pretty much expected to be there. So as far as just who to lose, I mean, yeah, I'd say it's probably Phoenix as far as most to lose and like that needs to most pressure. That's where I'm at with that.
Bryce, who do you got? Who should be the champion at the end? So, like for example, who would benefit the most from winning the championship this year?
So, like, taking advantage of this year, like, what could happen after if they don't win? Like, is that the context as well? Like,
yeah.
Well, I kind of think I I get what he's saying with Phoenix and that they're like kind of up there on my list, but for me, I would zero in more on like Milwaukee or Boston because I'm not sure how much longer Milwaukee can keep things together in order to keep getting up there like the way they are. Mm-hmm. And I say Boston kind of because even though these guys are still pretty young and have a long career, it seems like something could be going on more with Jaylen Brown on that team. And so to waste a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown combo seems kind of rough to me. And they did make it to the finals. So I'm leaning more towards Milwaukee or Boston because I think their window's closing. But Phoenix is right there too, in my opinion, because Chris Paul is about to get aged out of the championship. And like you said, they have so much talent there between Booker and KD that it seems like a waste as well. But it's hard for me to believe in those guys. So it's more like the window seems slipping or closing for those three teams. But I really believe in Milwaukee. But things could get bad in Boston, I think, if they don't go far enough or they don't pull off a championship again this year. So.
Yeah, too early prediction. Jaylen Brown's going to be gone in this offseason. Too early prediction. I'm looking at, and wouldn't it be sweet if it's at the hands of Miami? That would be so sweet. And we'd be like, come to us. Just come. Let's come.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Come on. I want the Lakers to make a deep playoff run. Now, LeBron James's legacy is set. Anthony Davis' legacy is set. But we're looking at a potential Lakers and Memphis first round matchup. And I don't know if Memphis can get through that because both their bigs are hurt, which means if Anthony Davis can stay healthy for a series, he would be unguardable. I think the Los Angeles Lakers could be a spoiler in the Western Conference. They would play, looks like Golden State or Sacramento in the second round if they were to get through Memphis. Like this thing is shaping up to where the Lakers could actually make a deep playoff run and potentially be in the conference finals, which is uncanny right now, considering how they started the season. For LeBron James to take this team deep into the playoffs, I think would even enhance his legacy even more. Well, I do see a pathway for that. What do you think, Bryce?
I believe in the Lakers getting out of the first round like that. It's hard. It's hard to bet against a healthy AD and LeBron, just like it's hard for me to bet against a healthy Golden State.
Right.
So it's kind of like the same rules. If Sacramento can beat Golden State, I kind of believe in Sacramento to beat the Lakers. If I'm being honest. So I think it depends on the team or the matchup, but Sacramento's tough. So it's a real toss-up. But I think if Sacramento can beat Golden State, they can beat the Lakers. I mean, I know they're different teams, of course. I'm just saying, like, from a playoff planning standpoint and experience standpoint, if you can get past Golden State, you can probably get past the Lakers.
Look, just like I said, with the Knicks getting a little push, wink, wink. The Lakers might get a little push too in the series against.
Well, that's Josh. Who do you think comes out of Cleveland Knicks series?
Cleveland.
That was my pick.
Cleveland. Oh yeah. Those boys are a completely different team at this point. A completely different team between the bigs, the two guards. Oh man, yeah. Cleveland has my respect for sure.
It's Knicks all the way. Knicks all the way.
Wow.
He's betting on the refs just to push them through.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I'm going with the Knicks on that one. So we're gonna end this today with our final topic, which is the MVP topic. Excuse me. So similar to the women's college basketball game that we spoke of, there was some talk about why Jokic was the front runner for the duration of the season. But now Embiid has caught fire. And we've had this conversation now for the third straight year between Embiid and Jokic. Bryce, I'm going to throw it to you first. Do you think this is going to be the year that Embiid finally wins his MVP award?
I'm just going to say I hope so because I'm tired of this conversation. It's a toss-up, really. Jokic does what he does year in, year out, every year. His team's near the top. They haven't won a championship yet. Cool. Embiid, every time he gets pissed that he's not going to win MVP, he goes on a 2-week stretch where he destroys everybody, but then he might get hurt for a month or whatever, and they still haven't won a championship.
Right.
So, yeah, it's fair. The only reason I would say Embiid is because he hasn't gotten one yet. And that way we can end this conversation. That's the only reason. But it's really a toss-up to me. My pick all season was kind of Giannis. And it seems like he's fallen out of the race a little bit for whatever reason. And it's Jokic and Embiid for the third straight season or whatever argument. Give it to Embiid so we can stop having this conversation. Because to me, it's a real toss-up anyways. If Jokic had won a championship or something with one of his MVPs, then maybe I could justify giving him another one. But so far, and I know those things aren't supposed to matter, but it's Jokic already has those accolades and hasn't been able to do anything else. So I would just say toss it to Embiid because for me it's a toss-up anyways. And Embiid hasn't won one, so give it to him.
Got it. What do you think, Josh?
It's definitely what do you call it? Eye of the beholder kind of decision. It kind of always is. Because just like Bryce said, you could swing it any way. Giannis did fall under, but if you start pulling statistics, I think he has like the highest like percentage contributing to wins. So that's an argument in itself. Jokic, I know they keep giving it to him. You pull him out of there, and his team plays complete awful. Like they're one of the worst teams in the league. So I guess there's the value there. But even Embiid, just I've said it before. I still think he's the most dominant player as of right now. I think it's just going to be a fact that, okay, he doesn't have one. Let's make this decision easier for everybody and just give it to Embiid. I think it's going to be him again, just for that simple fact of just spreading it around, because there's no clear-cut answer here. So I think just for the safe fact, they're just going to spread this one around.
So let's see. So you think Embiid's going to get it, Josh?
I'm Embiid, yeah.
Bryce, you on Embiid?
I think they're going to give it to Jokic. Yeah, even though I think Embiid should get it. Embiid should get it, yeah.
I think Jokic is the MVP.
Look, man.
And I love Joel. I love Joel. I absolutely love him. I believe he actually should have won it last year. But, he was consistent all season, but then catching fire at the end of the season, where Jokic has been dominant for 3/4 of the season. I think for the third straight year, they're going to give it to Jokic. But I do love Joel Embiid. So, forgive me, I fibbed a little bit. Here's the final topic. With today being the last day of the regular season, we're going to do our 2 early NBA Finals matchups. I'm going to throw it to Bryce first. Let me bring the bracket back up. Forgive me. Bryce, who you got as far as your NBA Finals matchup?
I think it's gonna if they're healthy, I think it's gonna be a rematch, Phoenix and Milwaukee, and I think Milwaukee wins.
Wow, Josh, what do you have?
I got Milwaukee, Golden State. You just can't count those shooters out. You just can't, man. You just can't. It happens every year. Steph Curry is literally the most. I know we're talking about the other 3 dominant boys, but Steph Curry is literally the most dangerous player in the entire NBA. I'm sorry. It's going to be Milwaukee, Golden State.
I love Milwaukee to death. I've loved them all year, but I know it's going to be an upset somewhere. I think Philadelphia is going to come out of the East.
Well, it would fit the script if they give it to Embiid, then he can get up there and win the champion. I get it. It makes sense. I see it.
I think Philadelphia is coming out of the East, and I think in the Western Conference is going to be Golden State. So, yeah. That's where I'm at. Not bad, fellas. Not bad. All right. I like it. I like it. Well, Joshua, Sonny J, let the people know where they can find you.
I've been out a little bit, but you can find me when I am there at the Doubted Views. We talk pretty much when they do sports, they'll talk some news, politics, and some money involved, things of that sort. So you can find us over at Doubted Views on YouTube.
And please like, subscribe, and share our content at the Hardwood Nation, as well as Doubted Views. Drop comments below. We always respond. Help us out with this YouTube thing if you love the NBA and love us. So thank you very much, and we are out.
Yeah.